Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others aspiring to be them can follow in their footsteps.
Yeah, hi. Welcome to another episode of Latte with a Lawyer. Today we've got Alex Matthews from the firm Thomas J. Henry in the state of Texas. Welcome to the show.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Excellent. Just to keep with the theme of the show and kick things off here, I know it's in the afternoon, but how do you get started in the morning? What's your favorite beverage of choice?
Man, it used to be black coffee, but I got hooked on these kind of energy coffees called super coffee.
Heard of them.
Yeah, it's they got some protein and MCT oil, and it's the right amount of kick to get me going. So it's hot in Texas, as you're probably familiar with in Florida. So drinking hot coffee is not too conducive to getting the day going. So I like a little chilled beverage. So
that's pretty fun. Yeah, actually, I heard about super coffee. We actually had a chance to do some work with that firm. And you get them in the grocery store? Where do you buy those?
Yeah, actually, I mean, you can. They're at all the local grocery stores here and gas stations. But I actually drink them so much, I buy them in bulk directly from them. So
nice.
Yeah, they're I'm a big customer.
Oh, cool. And they're loaded with caffeine and they're healthy, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're a little more calorie based than black coffee, but I'm pretty active, and yeah, the caffeine is good, and it's got a little protein in there too, and no added sugar. So it's what I like.
There you go. Well, you're young. You can burn the calories probably better than I can at this stage. So tell us what kind of law you practice and how you spend your day.
I work for a personal injury firm. I'm a managing attorney here at our Austin office. We got offices in all the major cities in Texas: Corpus, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, and right here in the capital city. And I manage a team of lawyers that we are on the pre-litigation side. So our job is, we get the case from the intake and, help the client, receive their medical treatment, handle the insurance claims, and then try and negotiate a settlement. And then if we can't come to an agreement, we will transfer it over to our litigation department. So.
Oh, interesting. So you actually break it up into two separate groups.
Yeah, we have two groups. So like I said, I was a lawyer, and then I'm now the managing attorney. So my team, we do all pre-litigation.
Okay.
And then, my team, we can file it, but if it's going to go to discovery or actually get into the court, for a trial or hearing or anything like that, we do have a full-scale litigation department. And then that's just on the non-commercial policies.
Yeah.
On the big commercial, we have an entire commercial department separate than the non-commercial as well. So big firm.
So when you say I was an attorney, so you don't consider yourself practicing law anymore?
No, I do. I don't consider myself as more client-facing. I am more managing. I still have a docket of cases that I've, wrapped up, or I'm, working on wrapping up, because I've built a rapport with the client. I've been working their case for months. So, but now my role is more transition into managing the team, ensuring that, they're in compliance with what they need to do, hit their goals, and help them on their docket.
Oh, interesting. So how many people are in your team?
I only have a handful right now. So I got there's eight lawyers under me here.
Okay.
And then, we're bringing 2 more on in June. So we like to have anywhere from 10 to 12.
So you're handling a lot of cases, and you guys are obviously handling a lot of cases.
Yeah, we're a very large firm as far as size and, revenue, but also a large firm as far as, client base. Each lawyer handles anywhere from, on average, 80 to 100 cases.
No kidding.
On the pre-litigation side, but when there's personnel changes within the firm, some people might have to take on a larger docket. But yeah, we're high volume. High volume.
Does that mean low value too? quick settlement?
It depends. The state, with auto insurance, the state minimum here, I don't know what it is in Florida, but in Texas, state minimum is 30,000. So that's the baseline, I guess. And then it's very rare or seldom that you see personal auto insurance policy go anywhere north of 250,000. So that's kind of the range we deal with. Anything larger than that's normally a commercial policy. So, you could get lucky and get a string of cases that have, big 6-figure policies. But predominantly it's 5 figures, minimum policies like that. So that's why,
Oh, I see.
It's like everything in the law, it's case by case.
Yeah,
but
case by case. I was going to say, you probably know this, but I think Texas is just nudging out Florida in terms of the number of auto accidents.
Oh yeah.
It's
Very
crazy.
similar.
Yeah, we both
crazy.
have very similar. Yeah. So is that predominantly what the firm works on, or is that just what your docket looks like?
It's just my docket. I'd
Okay.
say it's the classic 80-20 rule, kind of in business, right?
Yep.
80% of the cases, or 80% of the firm's cases are, these non-commercial policies, but it only brings in 20%, but the other 20% of the cases are the big commercial policies, and that probably, brings in 80%, give or take.
What are the other 20% of those, like trucking accidents, bigger
Yeah, those are the 18-wheelers, it doesn't have to be a big 18-wheeler or a multi-car collision. It could be, some guy who works for AT&T or something that's driving just a truck from one apartment complex to the other, and they get in a wreck. So,
but is it?
But predominantly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like in Florida, Texas is a very large, vast state. A
Yes.
lot of trucks on the road, so there's a lot more opportunity, I guess, for collisions with commercial vehicles, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think there's a day that goes by that I'm not driving down the road. There's some accident that's clogging up the arteries.
That's it.
It's pretty amazing. But the firm does more than just vehicle accidents, right?
Correct. That's 90% of it, but we also handle mass torts. So we handle we got a big case going on with the 3M earplugs for Army veterans. There was a callback with 3M provided, faulty premise or product liability cases, right?
Okay.
Things like that.
Yep.
We're also the lead firm handling injury claims related to the Travis Scott AstroWorld incident. So we got a lot of press for that. So
you're
that's
involved with. Oh, you are. You're involved with that. That's a high profile case. Yeah.
Yeah, big time. So things like that. If there's anything injury related, we're handling.
Okay.
But again, it's mainly car wrecks.
Got it.
Auto accidents, things like that. But we do handle slip and fall cases, premises liability. It's all negligence, right?
Sure.
It's all tort claims. So premises liability, health, dog bites, animal control cases like that. Things that you read in a torts book, your first 1L year of law school, right? That's we handle it all. So
okay, but you're just plaintiff attorneys, right?
That's right. Yep.
Okay, got it. So how'd you get into law? How'd you make that decision to be a lawyer?
It was actually the last thing I wanted to do. I grew up sports guy. I grew up and I played high school football. I was lucky enough to play in college, and I always thought I wanted to go and either be a coach or work at a front office. And I had a couple jobs working in front offices with some baseball teams and hockey teams, and really enjoyed it. But I felt I wasn't really challenged intellectually. After I stepped away from the field, I actually started to use my brain. So I was like, hey, I kind of like reading and writing. So I figured, I always wanted to get a second degree. And my father actually convinced me. He said, hey, you're not really a math guy or a guy like that. You're more of a reading and interpersonal skills, people person. What do you think about law school? I was like, oh man, I don't know. I don't know if I want to, do all that. And then a year after I graduated from undergrad, I applied and got in, and next thing you know, I'm going to law school, and I fell in love with it.
Oh,
So,
that's awesome. Where'd you play football in college?
oh, a tiny Division II school up in North Dakota called the University of Mary, the Marauders. I had a couple D3. I mean, I was a good player. I
Yeah.
could have walked on at D1s, but I was that kid that I'm going to get away from Austin and away from my parents. And I
Sure.
chose Bismarck, North Dakota. And then 2 years later, I came crawling back with my tail tucked between my legs and frozen.
That's funny. That must have been a big culture change, huh? To go up there.
It was, yeah, it was a big culture change. Great people up there. It's a very overlooked part of the country, but North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, those are good, hardworking, blue collar, very genuine people. So I felt very much at home. They have a lot of hospitality up there. It's just a different way of living. You don't really see a lot of people wearing shorts, right? Like we're accustomed to.
Yeah.
It's you have a jacket for this, a coat for that, and then an overcoat for the next occasion. So it was, that regard was a culture shock, but got to do a lot of traveling down to South Dakota. Minnesota is one of the prettiest states I've ever been to. The woodlands and lakes, it's gorgeous. So very grateful for that experience. The opportunity opened up a lot of experiences that I would have never gotten down here in Texas, but I'm happy I got through it, because my goodness, was it cold.
Yeah. No, I bet it is interesting. I mean, you make an interesting point. I mean, sometimes you gotta get out of your comfort zone and what you used to sort of grow a little bit, right? That's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's funny. I actually did the opposite thing. I'm from Boston originally, and I remember when I was in grad school, I did an internship in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
So I drove from Boston to Dallas, and I remember I got there like a New Year's Eve, and I met these guys, and we like went out to some country bar and stayed all night. And I didn't know anything. I mean, that was like totally new territory for me. And I made friends with this guy who was from East Texas. And one weekend we went to his ranch, and we like literally went out and got a new bull for his cattle ranch. I mean, yeah, that was foreign territory to me.
Oh yeah.
But expanded my mind and thinking a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you said, it's important for growth. And for me, leaving Austin, I mean, Austin's such an amazing city, but leaving it made me realize how much I appreciated it.
Yeah.
Right. You don't know what you have until it's gone. So, but yeah, I was same thing. I went from, I grew up on a lake, so I went from wake surfing with my friends to now I'm ice fishing in, December, right? Or I'm playing pond hockey in January. Like, what is going, very foreign to me.
Yeah, but you can, we can all adapt to our environment, right? That's the one good thing about it. We can if we allow ourselves to.
Exactly,
So
if you're willing to.
Yeah, interesting. So, is there any case that you worked on that was really interesting that sort of stands out?
Not necessarily, because a lot of them blend together. But I will say this job presents a lot of challenges as far as the negotiating side and developing a case from the intake to the settlement, and as far as getting a client into treatment and having their injuries diagnosed and things like that. So nothing really has stood out, but unfortunately, I've seen some of my clients have been pretty horrific accidents. And so, more so than just kind of a whiplash injury, like these people have, I'll tell you this, I had a client involved in a really serious accident about a month ago, and he was in a coma for a few weeks and didn't know if he was going to make it. And then I got a call out of nowhere saying, "Hey man, I guess you're my lawyer." He had no idea.
Wow.
So yeah, so stuff like that, it makes you, I try to be the best advocate and voice for each of my clients. But, when you see the person held up in a hospital, or you see their leg wrapped up, or, amputated, things like that, it makes you really want to work harder for them. Right. Yeah. Because these people every accident never comes at the right time. And it's always the worst thing that these people are going through. So, I guess the accidents where the injuries are a little more severe, or the collision itself was a little more catastrophic, stand out. But as far as the work goes, it's, more or less the same from start to finish.
Well, it sounds like you're more like, your job is more about project management these days, right? Than actual.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
I'm more of a facilitator now.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a different hat to wear, but I enjoy it. And it's, sharing my knowledge and experiences to my team to make sure that they're, working the cases the same, if not better than I did.
Yep.
Because I've had success here at the firm. And so it's, I don't know, I'm more of a teaching role, right? And you're right, project managing, case management, things like that, as opposed to, on the phone, hey, give me your money, things like that, right?
So you don't see yourself going back into like trying cases on your own? You prefer this role?
We'll see.
Yeah.
I didn't even know when I finished law school, I didn't even know I wanted to practice law. I thought, I might get into business, or I was working for a sports agency for a while. I thought I'd try that out. And then I start practicing law and I'm like, man, this is awesome. But my role has been more on the negotiating side, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So I never like to say, no, I don't see that for myself, because I think, everybody changes, whether it's tomorrow or 6 months or 5 years. So I'm very open to the opportunity, but right now I'm very comfortable with where I'm at and the role that I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, listen, ultimately you got to you figure out like what really, feels right and you enjoy doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes a while to figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And I'm pretty young in my career. So I, like I said, I'm more on the negotiating side, trying to settle things before it gets to a lawsuit. But if I ever, become a trial lawyer, maybe I fall in love with that and I go, nope, this is it. This is what I want to do. I just haven't had that opportunity yet. And I'm, like I said, happy with where I'm at.
You're happy with where you are. Yeah. It seems to me there's a pretty strong correlation between like, athletes and trial lawyers, right? There's a lot of ex-athletes that are trying cases, very competitive, right?
100%. And that goes back to one of the initial reasons I wanted to get into law school as well, that I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't touch on is law school, law, the courtroom, plaintiff versus defendant, state versus, the accused. It's all competition. Yeah. And as an athlete, my brain is wired that way. So this, law school is very competitive with all your classmates, just like being, being on the same team with somebody, right? If you're not the starter, you're the backup. You're constantly competing with that guy to be the starter, even though you're both on the same team, trying to find the same objective. There's competition from all angles. And so that's the same here. In law school, it was trying to get the best grades or, get the best job out of school. And then at the firm here, it's, I'm trying to, settle cases and bring in the most attorney's fees. And then, I'm trying to beat the other team at the same time, right? These insurance companies. So it's a lot of correlation between the legal industry and athletics. Yeah. And I think it's all centered around that competitive spirit. So, and some people aren't like, some lawyers aren't. They're, I'd rather, research and legal research and writing, or, do more of the briefing stuff. I'm not like that. I like to be, out on the field or, out on
you
the
like
phone,
the
I guess,
action.
right now.
I can pick up the energy.
I like the
from
action.
You. Yeah. No, I can see that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Interesting. So let me ask you this, how do you prepare and how do you try to maximize the outcome of a case settlement?
So I guess to maximize the settlement is to, I'm always taking different approaches to these cases as opposed to the normal course of how you would think a case in this industry would get settled, right? I'm trying to think outside the box. I'm trying to make sure I'm trying to be fully prepared, right? And you're only fully prepared by getting into the weeds and figuring out everything about the client, everything about the accident, everything about the medical records. So I know when I'm picking up the phone, there's no question, no comment, or anything that's going to get by me that I haven't at least attempted to prepare for. So, when it comes to my field, it's all about, medical treatment, right? And so when we present, when our clients are injured, they're going to doctors, and the doctors are writing records, and they're getting bills, and these insurance adjusters are evaluating those documents and then presenting us an offer, or they're denying the claim. So whenever they present an offer, I want to make sure I know every single word that was written in those medical records, whether I got to sit here until 9 or 10 o'clock at night, read 1,000 pages of hospital notes, or a surgeon's recommendations. And I also make it a point to understand my client's story. What were they doing before? How was their life before this accident? How has their life been during it? And what's it going to be like after? So I'd say the best way that I handle all of this is just to be the most prepared person in the room. And yeah, go ahead.
No, I said that makes sense to me. I guess what I was trying to get at too is, do you use focus groups? How do you get sort of external input aside from what you're learning on your own and diligence that you go through?
I see what you're saying. I am very fortunate that I work at a huge firm.
Okay.
And we have like I said, over 200 lawyers here.
Yep.
And my employer, Mr. Henry, is probably the most successful personal injury litigator here in the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So I am surrounded by brilliant people,
okay,
a lot of very experienced people. So this firm presents a lot of great opportunities to continuously grow. And we have a lot of resources at our disposal. So I also, Google's your best friend. So I'm always reading about other stuff too. But I have the best, like I said, I got the best resources on the other side of that wall right there. It's the minds that I'm working with. If I don't know a question, I'm the annoying person asking every single question I'm asking, because you never know everything. So I try to go to the more experienced litigators. If I can, I'll ask Mr. Henry himself a question. Somebody always knows something more than me. And thankfully, I work with a ton of people. So I will use them first and foremost, because they've probably encountered or the issue that I'm asking them about, they've already experienced it, already have a good answer for it, or they know another person they can point me to. So is that?
Yeah. No, it does. I'm curious, like Mark Lanier, you probably know in the state of Texas, he has, his whole trial, lawyer platform, and there's Trial Lawyers University, and there's a bunch of these. In fact, in Montana, there's another one, Trial College. Do you guys go to those kind of things? Are you part of those?
Yeah, we have I personally haven't yet. I'm very anxious to get involved in in more groups like that. The State Bar of Texas has, tort groups, trial lawyer groups. I'm part of the litigation division of the State Bar. There is a personal injury division. There are what's called continuing learning education, CLEs. Yeah. So we have to do those as required by the state, but also I seek those out on my own initiative as well. So I haven't really used focus groups. I would just say that CLEs and things like that help. But again, I'm like I said, I'm just so thankful to be surrounded by such brilliant people that those are my focus groups, really.
Yeah. Okay, good. Excellent. I guess I'm curious, having gone through this yourself and found this here, what would you say to someone who's considering law school today? Would you recommend it? And what would you tell them?
I'd say anyone who's curious about anything should attempt it, right? The fact that you're curious about it means you have some sort of an interest in it. Law school is an expensive endeavor, and it's, something that some people think they want to do and they don't. But a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to do that, or I'm going to do this. There's a lot of sayers and not a lot of doers. So my advice to anyone who's thinking about it is research it and do it. Like I said, I'm not that typical lawyers. Oh, don't go to law school, kid. You don't want to do that or waste your time being a lawyer. I'm like, screw it. I think being a lawyer is great. It's a lot of fun. and especially in my role, it's a lot of high energy, fast pace. It's fun, it's competitive. So if you're thinking about something, go do it. And you can always, after a year, say, this wasn't for me. And you got to foot the bill at some point, but nonetheless, you at least tried it. You'll never know unless you try, and you'll never get an answer unless you ask. So
where'd you go to law school?
I went to a small private school here in Texas called St. Mary's. It's down in San Antonio. It's on the national scale. It's not a big school. It's not on, doesn't have a high ranking, I guess you could say, but in the state of Texas, it has a very high reputation.
Yep.
They produce a lot of good trial lawyers, and it's got a very, very solid alumni foundation.
Yep.
So there's a lot of lawyers in the state of Texas who are very successful. My employer is one of them, and they like to take care of their own.
Oh, good.
It's a good fraternity, I guess, right? So it's I loved it.
Excellent. And then lastly, I'm just curious, since we're a technology company, I mean, are you, as a firm, you embracing technology? Are you constantly reviewing it and using it?
Yeah, we use the Salesforce.
Oh, you use Salesforce? Oh.
Yeah, and because we are a big firm.
Yeah.
We are heavily dependent on its reporting.
No kidding.
And all of our client files are electronic. All of our case management database, client management databases are on there. And I've always been, I have a advertising background, and I'm also, like I said, I was in sports front offices.
Yeah.
And sports teams are heavily dependent on data, right? Especially in baseball.
Sure. Yep.
So is, my boss, Mr. Henry, is heavily dependent on the reports that Salesforce generates. And so we are constantly relying on, the software and using it. I mean, I'm in it 24 hours a day.
That's so interesting.
Week, right?
You're the first law firm I've talked to that told me they use Salesforce. I mean, I've used it for years, and I have it on my desktop right now, and I rely on it heavily. I've never heard a law firm that's used Salesforce.
I never have either. A lot of people still like to use, ink and paper, but or they have their own, Excel spreadsheets or something like that. But no, we use it to its full capabilities. And
did you customize it? Did the firm have to customize it for the legal field or no?
It's the internal platform is called AdvoLogics, and I don't know if that's what that means within Salesforce. I know it's a legal. It's curtailed to legal.
Yeah, they probably customize it for the legal field.
Yeah, right.
That's interesting.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how, because I don't know a whole lot. I knew Salesforce is huge, platform and stuff like that prior to coming here, but using it it's amazing. And I'm a firm believer that data drives decisions. And again, our firm is very successful based on the decisions that that Mr. Henry makes. So it's and he gets all that based on reporting.
It's interesting. I mean, I could tell you because adoption of any CRM system in any kind of business is one of the hardest things to do.
Yep.
So does your firm, I mean, is everyone compliant? Is that like sort of mandatory within the firm? I'm guessing it is.
Yeah, we have, everyone uses it. We have internal compliance auditors who are constantly, we have daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals. They have, and obviously we're a law firm, so we have a lot of ethical compliance, ethical standards to stay in compliance with. So yeah, we have, like I said, being at a big firm, we have somebody for everything. And our internal compliance auditors are, constantly in there. And again, I'm in a management role, and all of the managers, that's what we use.
Sure.
We have to have it. So, and it allows us to, with COVID and everything, I mean, we are a law firm, so we like to be, with the privacy, and security issues, we like to be inside the same building. But, if we're out, meeting with a client out at their home, or if we have to drive to a scene or to the hospital or something, we can pull up, we all have, firm issued tablets and stuff. We can pull it up and input the data right there that we need, and it gets sent, right back to whoever's at the office.
Yeah, it's beautiful. If you do it right.
It's fascinating. Yeah, my stepmom, she's a big exec at Dell, and when I explained to her that we use Salesforce and stuff, she was blown away. She
Yeah,
was like, "What? A law firm?" I said, "Yeah,
it
we're
is
huge.
surprising. That's why I'm
Yeah, it's a
asking questions
huge,
about.
yeah,
But with 200 lawyers, and it makes sense. I mean, people think about it as like a nuisance. If you're a salesperson or maybe a lawyer, like it's like somebody's watching what I'm doing, and it's a lot of data entry. But you're really building an institutional asset, and if you use it correctly, it's incredibly helpful. You don't have to rely on your memory, right?
yep,
It's
yep,
really useful once you start using it correctly.
yeah." And that's exactly what I iterate to my staff, and then all of our support staff as well. So
Yep.
we have probably over 500 employees with the firm
Oh, you're a
altogether.
big firm. I didn't realize you were that big a firm.
Yeah, we're the largest personal injury firm in Texas. So, yeah.
Yeah. So we do work with Morgan and Morgan, which I think is the largest PI firm, but you guys are probably right close to them.
Probably, yeah. There's a lot of other big firms, but I know just as far as volume and stuff,
Well, I mean,
we're up
doing
there.
personal injury, just personal injury. There aren't that many. I don't think there are many really large personal injury firms, are there?
In the big cities, there are yeah. In Texas, at least. I don't know how Florida is, but in Texas, there are. But also, we have 5 different locations, and we have a satellite office in Puerto Rico. So it's some of the big PI firms are in one city, so they're big in that city.
Yeah, sure.
So I guess I should have clarified, but as far we're on the state level.
Yeah, got it. Interesting. Very good. Good stuff. I learned a lot about you guys today.
Yeah, cool.
So if somebody wanted to reach you, what's the best way to get in touch with you and learn more about your firm?
Yeah, so you can obviously go online to our firm, Thomas J. Henry Law. I'm on social media, LinkedIn. I email, call me, whatever. I'm very, very available. So however, I would say professionally LinkedIn, I'm pretty responsive on there. So if somebody wanted to find me, but again, if you just Google Thomas J. Henry Law, or if you're in Texas, you've probably seen one of our commercials. So
you guys do a lot of billboards on the road.
Oh yeah, that's another fascinating part. You should get inside our advertising and PR team. There, for a law firm, you'd be blown away as well.
Sure,
it's pretty remarkable.
Oh yeah, excellent. Well, listen, this has been great to talk to you. Again, we have Alex Matthews from the firm Thomas Henry in the state of Texas. And this show has been sponsored by EmotionTrac, and we use artificial intelligence to gather nonverbal insights that people use for case preparation for mediation and trials. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
You bet.